I shall say the following about this week's edition of NXT. It was a damn sight better than last week's show, which slipped way below the usual NXT standards, in my opinion. Now, I don't know what it was about this show. Maybe it was just the fact that it was just filled with more fun characters, more fun elements. The show just flowed well. The commentary was very good on this show. I don't know what it was, but I just felt so much more into the show this week than I did last week. So a very good edition of NXT this week, I felt. Now let's get on to the review. If you have any comments on this show, don't hesitate to put them in the comment section below. Let's get going. You want to start off an NXT show hot? There is no better way to start the show hot than I don't get hot, I stay hot. Mojo Rawley. I mean, this character and the energy this guy brings to the ring really does seem to translate to the audience in the short time that he's actually been in NXT. And it just seems one of those characters that's just destined to start off NXT shows. I mean, you want a character to get the crowd going and get the crowd hot to begin a taping. You know, this is the man. You know, just the gimmick itself kind of says so much. And they even had that guy from the New England Patriots there. What was his name? Brad Vankowski or something? I don't know too much about American football, but I know that Mojo Rawley was an ex-American footballer and their buddies, etc. He even had his own like little cheering section, which he went into the crowd to celebrate with after the match, after he defeated Bull Dempsey in a pretty straightforward squash match. But I'll keep saying this about Mojo Rawley. I love the gimmick. The guy is getting over. But I will keep saying this until it gets changed. Please change that damn finisher. You know, that damn ass finisher just doesn't really work for me. It doesn't seem like the kind of move that can really end a match. That's all I'm going to say about that. A really hot way to start the show, in my opinion, until you had the buzzkill CJ Parker on the show. And it looks like next week CJ Parker is going to dispose Mojo Rawley in a recycling bin of some kind. Hell, we don't know. Oh, also, thank you for the retweet, Mojo Rawley, too, my brother. You know, when I saw Tyler Breeze and Sami Zayn were facing off after the opening segment in a match which had really no hype or anything, I was kind of just thinking, something's kind of wrong here. And boy, was I right. Before the match even happened, when Sami Zayn was making his way out to the ring, we had Corey Graves attacking him before the match, and it seemed like they went quite a way to actually sell the fact that he was quite severely injured, despite what didn't really seem like that big of an attack, to be honest with you. It seems like they're maybe bringing some kind of concussion injury elements into this storyline now. They even brought the doctors out and had the doctors sort of examining Sami Zayn, and he couldn't carry on in the match. So it looks like they're doing this to further along the storyline between Sami Zayn and Corey Graves and trying to get some heat on Corey Graves, even though it's never going to fucking work. And I guess the only way you can get heat on Corey Graves is to have him go up against Sami Zayn. I'm not really a massive fan of this feud. As long as it gets Sami Zayn a win, going on to bigger things, maybe going after the NXT Championship, then I'm all for it. As long as Sami Zayn, at the end of the day, does beat Corey Graves. And I guess this is the kind of feud that could put a Corey Graves on the map. I guess the only thing about this segment was the fact that I would imagine a guy like Tyler Breeze would be begging the referee to count Sami Zayn out, and that would have been a damn good way to get heat on Tyler Breeze, by having him go to the referee and say, you need to count this guy out and give me the win. But they just kind of like peeled off it, and Tyler Breeze wasn't really much of a factor in this segment. But that would have been a good way to get some heat on Tyler Breeze. At least have a reason for him to be out there other than just to be like jobber that didn't actually job. NXT is brought to a new level of epicness when a certain Adam Rose is on the TV. What a great gimmick this is. He brings something fun to the show. Now, I know a lot of wrestling fans love seeing their 5-star classics and serious beef storylines, etc. But sometimes in wrestling, you just need a little bit of fun. And that is exactly what Adam Rose is to NXT, kind of like what Emma was to NXT before she made it to the main roster. The guy has a pretty damn awesome gimmick. He has a pretty awesome entrance with that entourage full of extras. I still have no idea who these guys are and what the fuck they're wearing, but the entrance is damn entertaining, and that is what's so great about this gimmick. Don't really even care about the match. It's just, I just want to see this guy enter the ring and exit the ring, and any vignettes that come with it. That's all I really care about with this Adam Rose character. But for that minute or so, when he's, you know, on the entrance ramp and does that entrance, etc., and we see the guy not really wrestling, it's a damn entertaining minute at that. And as for the match between him and Camacho, like I said, Very inconsequential. Adam Rose gets the victory, and we get to see him celebrate with his entourage after the match. Although it did seem this week they kind of changed the music a little bit, which was kind of odd. I also thought it was funny during the match when Camacho got party pooper chants. I thought that's kind of cool. I'm wondering what other chants the fans are going to come up with now when Adam Rose is in the ring with a party pooper. That'll be interesting going forward. Russell Brand, eat your damn heart out, son. So this week we got our first glimpse of Bayley inside the wrestling ring on the WWE Network. Now, for someone like me who's very familiar with Bayley, I kind of know what she's all about, but I'm interested to hear what you newer viewers think about the Bayley character. I think it's just another one of those really fun, you kind of have to like characters. It really is. And is it me, or do the BFFs seem to be on every damn show? They seem to be on every show in some kind of capacity. I guess, though, they are the main and probably only heels in the NXT Divas division right now. Kind of reminds me of how Lakel used to be scattered around Raw and SmackDown back in the day, but there we go. You know, also, they still haven't paid off this Bayley-Charlotte feud yet, which I thought they would do, but I just wonder whether they'll do it now with Charlotte being the next seeming challenger to Paige's NXT Women's Championship. But I would like to see Bayley get her comeuppance on Charlotte after what happened on the NXT show before it started airing on the WWE Network at some point. We had Bayley versus Sasha Banks on this week's show. Solid Divas action, not too much more to say about it really. I'm very happy Bayley got the quick roll-up win. I think it's very important that you have Bayley win on her first match, especially when she's out there with Natalya. They also did a little bit between Charlotte and Natalya outside of the ring to help set up their match for next week, which I shall talk about now. So next week on NXT, it's going to be a very special NXT show, which has been entitled Vengeance Week. They're kind of trying to make it feel like an NXT pay-per-view in a way. As for my predictions and thoughts going into this, we have Natalya versus Charlotte, which has a little bit of story going into it. Second generation superstar against second generation superstar, sharpshooter versus the figure four. You can draw those comparisons there. I would imagine Natalya will win this as it is Vengeance Week, but I would hope that Charlotte would win the match in all honesty. We've also got Mojo Rawley versus CJ Parker. I expect Mojo Rawley to steamroll through that tree-hugging hippie. We also got Xavier Woods versus Tyler Breeze. I would hope that Tyler Breeze would win this because he is the far better character on NXT. But because Xavier Woods is on the main roster, they'll probably have him win. And in the main event of that show, it's going to be the rematch for the NXT Championship from NXT rival Bo Dallas versus Adrian Neville, which I fully expect Adrian Neville to win, and then for Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville to separate paths and move on to different people. All the matches on this have a little bit of story to them. Not a great amount of story to them to warrant them being special matches, but at least they have some kind of story going into them, especially Bo Dallas versus Adrian Neville, and a little bit less so Natalya versus Charlotte. So next week's show should be a good show. I'd recommend you guys check it out, if not just for the main event match between Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville for the NXT Championship. So in our main event of this week's edition of NXT, we had Sheamus returning to NXT where it all started for him, well, FCW, facing the Artiste and Drama King, Aiden English. You know, I really do like it when they bring a main roster guy down to NXT. It does two things in my opinion. It makes the main roster guy seem like a massive star, and it elevates the NXT show, in my opinion. And it also gives the NXT guys a chance to work with someone who's done it on the main roster and in the big time for WWE, such as Sheamus. So it's a good learning experience for someone like Aiden English, who, let's remember, has also faced RVD in a previous edition of NXT, I believe, last year. So I do like the concept of bringing down a main roster guy, even though they're blatantly going to get the victory over the NXT guy. It's a nice learning experience, and, you know, the NXT guys really need to learn how to work with a lot of these guys if they're going to make it on the main roster. So like I said, I like this idea, and I hope NXT do it a little bit more often going forward. I must say, though, I was really hoping that Aiden English would sing a song about Sheamus or something, and I thought that was going to be hilarious, but he ended up just singing, like, a pretty average song for Aiden English, and, you know, I'm sorry, Sheamus, I'm sorry, but you, fella, have no right to sing in the Artiste ring, especially when the NXT crowd doesn't want to hear you sing your song, you fucking Irish dickhead. He said, you want to hear a Irish song? And the crowd went, no, 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 no. The ultimate sign that you're not over as a babyface, even though the crowd did like Sheamus. I'm not going to deny that. But anyway, as for this match, you you know, it got a surprisingly good amount of time, and Aiden English, it did look surprisingly competitive in this match. I didn't expect this match to go on for more than 5 minutes, but I believe it got a good 10 minutes in there, and Aiden English had his moments in the match where he did look like he had Sheamus' number. So at least in that sense, Aiden English, who is a big character in NXT, is being put over sort of by Sheamus, even though in the end, Sheamus, rightfully so, wins the match. I also thought it was a nice touch by the commentators, by the way, when they talked about how one win can change your career for Aiden English. It made it feel like an important match for English, like if he won this match, he was proving something to NXT and the WWE. So I thought that was a nice little touch. And even though Sheamus won, I thought, you know, Aiden English looked better coming out of this because he, you know, he took Sheamus on for 10 minutes, which, let's face it, a lot of people in the WWE, Christian, haven't managed to do in the past. One thing that did surprise me about this show, though, was that they didn't end the show with Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville in some kind of promo segment or, you know, just some sort of segment to, you know, really rally home their match that's going to be next week on the show. I was quite surprised because we had 10 minutes left in the show. It finished at about 10 to 2 my time. And I was thinking, oh, just about time for another segment. You know, possibly Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville, who are going to be in the main event next week. And we never got it, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But it doesn't really overly bother me that much because that match has already had a lot of story. And they've already had a promo segment on one of the earlier editions of NXT. And they've advertised it a fair amount on the show. So it didn't bother me too much. But I was thinking, you know, 10 minutes left. That would be another chance for a segment, maybe between these guys on the show. You know, I don't know. As for my overall thoughts on this week's edition of NXT, like I said, I thought it was a pretty fun show. A pretty hot start with Mojo Rawley coming out. Thanks for the retweet once again, brother. You know, we had characters like Adam Rose on the show. Once again, you know, solid Divas action. And we had Sheamus in the main event facing Aiden English. I like it when they I like the concept of bringing, you know, the main roster guy down to face an NXT guy. So I thought this was a pretty damn good show this week. More of the level that I expect from NXT. I would still hope that they're going to be doing more story-driven shows going forward, but I'm going to give NXT a couple of weeks to get their storylines, you know, really sorted out and really get going. They did a decent job of continuing on the Corey Graves and Sami Zayn feud. I imagine that will hopefully be paid off soon. If you have any comments on the show or any of the characters that I've talked about in this show, please let me know down in the comment section below. See you same time next week. Goodbye, people.